Hello, and welcome to the Business Resilience podcast from Experian with me, Ade O'Connor. For those of you joining us for the first time, a small introduction to the purpose of the podcast. These are challenging times for businesses and consumers alike. Announcements, either from government or organisations, which typically cause weeks and months of discussion, are issued on what seems to be a daily basis. Our job here is to make sense of it all. What do the latest developments mean for your business and the decisions you make? Today, we're discussing payment holidays. There are many people whose income has changed due to the coronavirus outbreak, from those who have been furloughed to the self-employed, and a number are getting in touch with their lenders to request payment holidays. Joining me on the phone now is Experian's Chief Data Officer for the UK, Ireland and EMEA, Jonathan Westley. John, Experian, Equifax and TransUnion have been working together to protect consumer credit scores. Can you talk us through what's been agreed?
Yeah, so we spent a while sitting with the industry and working out how do we best supply data or get data from the lenders that recognize these unprecedented times, and how do we protect consumers' credit files so that they aren't disadvantaged due to these things that are occurring right now. And so we sat down with both the UK Finance, with the FLA, with SCORE, which is the Standing Committee on Reciprocity, and with a number of the credit reference agents' representations. And we've agreed that the way that you will process a file or supply a file during this period is that where a consumer has requested a payment holiday, then the status codes on their payment holiday will be the same as it was at the point in which they requested the holiday. So if you're a status 0, i.e. you're paid up to date, over that payment holiday, you would normally go 1 down, 2 down, because you're not actually making any payment. You will essentially stay static at the status code that you had agreed at the point that you had agreed the payment holiday. And that will be, this guidance that we've issued is predominantly right now for mortgages, but it is expanding into other consumer credit products, and the market is looking to adopt the same principles that they've done for mortgages across the credit life cycle. So that guidance isn't fully formed yet and is being discussed with the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, who went out to the market for views and opinions on how that should work going forward. And we were part of that discussion group and supplied some input into that. So that guidance will come out more fully over the coming days, but I don't see it changing a huge amount from what we've already provided in the marketplace.
I think one of the main questions that lenders are getting in from their consumers is what's this going to mean for my credit score, and particularly to Experian as well. We're getting that. You're able to provide some clarity on that, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, we can't determine the effect that it has within the lending community, because a lot of times lenders use our data. They make a request for our data, we send that to them, and then they have their own scorecards and their decision process that they've had. But the way that we as Experian and the other CRAs have agreed that we would represent this period of time is, if you are paid up to date, that will continue to look as if you're paid up to date. Because of that, it should have a very limited effect to either increasing or decreasing. You're certainly not going to get better on the basis that your status code remains the same, your balance remains the same. So it won't improve, but it certainly shouldn't get worse as you move through this. Clearly, if you don't request a payment holiday or you've not spoken to your lender, that is going to be a problem, because you won't get flagged that you've actually requested that. So we would encourage all individuals to contact their lender and discuss the various options, because payment freeze is just one of many options that a lender has, and it will talk each individual through their different circumstances and make sure that they land on the best option that's available to that lender and to that individual for their individual circumstances. So the thing that I would suggest everyone does, if they're worried about whether they're going to make a payment or they're not going to make a payment, they should discuss that with their lender and come to an arrangement, then the lender knows that what kind of arrangement has been put in place, and they can inform us on their monthly files that they send to us.
Okay, that makes sense. So the balances that will be seen against the account on the credit report will remain the same throughout?
Everything will remain the same. So the monthly amounts that they pay, the monthly payment fee, the monthly payment amount will be the same. The balance will be the same. The balance may well increase. It depends on what kind of product you've got, but the balance may increase on the basis that you're not paying, but it will still look a positive. You'll still have a positive status code within your payments. So this clearly is going to, we're going to have to work out how we unwind all of this over the next few months. And I know that government and I know the industry are currently debating how we might achieve this, because the debt doesn't go away, it's still there, but over this period of time, you shouldn't have any too negative effect on your credit file because of the arrangements that we've taken, that we've put in place with regards to the lenders.
And what experience reflecting here on the credit reports that people can see through our website and through our others in the industry, that's a reflection of what people and what lenders will see on their credit reports. But how each lender interprets that in the future, will that change and will that vary, or is it still quite uncertain in the early days?
I think during the crisis period, I think most lenders will see the same information. In fact, every lender will see the same information, providing you've spoken to your lender, providing you've come to an arrangement with them, not an arrangement as in how to pay this back or anything like that, but an arrangement for a payment freeze, an emergency payment freeze, then they will be able to make sure that they report the data correctly onto the Bureau. So that process is really important. And I think there are 3 stages that we're going to go through over this. You've got the immediate phase, which is essentially as we're starting to work through the pandemic. You then got the recovery phase, so as we start to come out of the pandemic. And then we've got the long-term phase. So how do we not only do we come out of the recovery period, but how do we actually make sure that everyone is in a good place with regards to reporting their particular circumstances on the credit file? And again, we're working through with industry about how that might get reported and how it might look in the future.
Okay, so I suppose there's for Experian's data office, this is quite a unique set of circumstances and poses some different challenges to what you might get on